Okay, we're good. We're rolling.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Radio Loud. I'm your host, Sean Lil Lebowski Sullivan.
And I'm Dirty Dilf.
I'm Stephen Weber.
Stinky Stephen Weber.
Stinky Stephen, and we're joined in the studio by my lovely girlfriend, Miss Emily of the Milwaukee.
Hold on a second. Hold on here. I mean, keep going. I just
Okay, well, we'll hold on and keep going. Yeah, you missed an important keynote there.
No, not that one.
Nope. All right, we're already fumbling.
Off to a great start.
Crap! Oh, I'm sorry. Are we live?
Yeah, we're live.
Shit!
Dude, there's this Sirius radio show with Jim and Sam, where it's like Jim Norton and his cohort Sam. And they basically, whenever they bring in their guests in, they always bring them in while they already started. So they're like, the guest is literally walking in there like, and everyone's like, hey, and the guests will just like start talking, and they'll have to be like, we're actually live right now. And sometimes they say shit that they're like, oh shit.
Catch them.
But it's Sirius XM, so you can swear. That was something funny that in the feedback my dad had given me about that stuff. He was like, "You guys are filthy." Like
that's what my pop said too.
And
but
he was like,
looking forward to every time we post though.
He was like, yeah, my dad. I don't think he'd necessarily care too much. Like I guess he does kind of. But he was like, "Oh yeah, you guys would never get on the major radio medium." And one of the things I said to him was like,
1037, let's get a show.
I was straight up like, a lot of people are getting offered radio shows after this medium and refusing because it's kind of viewed as like an old medium. And there's also satellite radio where like Howard Stern pretty much like pioneered, like you can say whatever the fuck
Howard
you want
Stern has women
XM.
riding Sibian sex machines.
Oh, Sibian, I think.
Thank you. Yeah, Sibian sex
No, he
machine.
did that fucking thing in the 80s when he was coming up. He had a woman literally take a subwoofer, lay it on the floor, and then he was like over the airwaves, and he like had sex with her like through the radio.
And people loved it. Thanks, Howard.
What the fuck?
Have you ever like listened to Howard Stern and shit?
I mean, occasionally. He's definitely more shock jockey than anything else.
Like some of his stuff is actually pretty good. Like his interview format sometimes is like pretty good, but like
you sound like a Lil Wayne fan defending him.
Also, I'm not though, but
good,
I'm not. Like I can't be because I don't fucking listen to him. Like he literally, I get it. He is kind of like the Jerry Springer of radio.
Yeah.
Oh, very much so. And like that's like something I don't know. I've just never really been super attracted to that.
I mean, at the same time, he was just uber raunch, and he was like a young rebel when he
first
first went out
person to
there.
do that. Essentially, like that's why he's so popular. Like it's hard to understand
that, but there's always been people doing that.
It's hard to understand that now because like we grew up like totally post that, where he had already set the precedent.
The bar.
Like he essentially set the tone for like what is appropriate through broadcast medium today.
Well, it all just comes down to market. If you got people who want to hear it and you can charge them money, that's what.
But that's the thing. Like he really had to fight tooth and nail through several. Because
you went from just like spin jockeys to Howard Stern. Just
like he moved all over the place, and it was essentially that thing I had said last week where I told you about Howard Stern reading a radio read and then going off the rail, just expounding on it, and then get caught in his own lie. Essentially, his wife told him that, like, I liked that part of it, and that's what inspired him to essentially start going off the rails more and pushing back against the script.
That's all we wanted out of you was thanks, Howard.
Thanks, Howard.
He divorced his wife. That told him that, I'm assuming. Allison Burns.
To be fair, I'd divorce Howard Stern too. No,
to get with Beth Ostrowski Stern.
They put a beard on her. That's pretty funny.
This is his new wife. This is his old wife.
You don't say.
All right. You want to read us into suggestion box, Sean?
It's time for everybody's favorite segment, the one, the only, the box with the note card shoved in it. No one's ever had an idea like this before. We're the first. Sorry, Howard, can't have this one. It's suggestion box time.
Howie.
How we doing today, Doug?
No, Mandel, not Stern. Don't touch me.
Come on, just shake my hand. We have a hand sanitizer right here.
Okay, I'll start it off. First read. This is headphones that only play state-sanctioned propaganda. They're called KG Beats.
Oh,
I like that.
that's good. That's already
And they come in one color.
Black. They
I
have
was
a
gonna say
built-in
red.
automated black bagging feature. They just pull the
deploy a
bag
net.
over.
They deploy like a net gun on your head.
Or like an airbag. It's just like... The future is now.
Oh my god! I mean, they basically have those in some countries. Where they just
Picture
have,
it
like,
explodes around your
megaphones that
head.
Just play.
It explodes around your head like those pillows that you could sleep at, the sleep anywhere pillows,
Yeah.
where it's just a sphere that you stick your hands in.
But just marshmallows.
That was one
in
of
your
the
head.
things with the demilitarization or the DMZ between North and South Korea. South Korea finally stopped blasting them with like K-pop and like pro South Korea
dude,
propaganda.
that's so yeah, for anybody who doesn't know, as a psychological warfare tactic, South Korea had decided to blast K-pop across megaphones in the entire DMZ demilitarized zone border.
That sounds like hell on earth.
Endless
I don't
loop.
know, man. I could get down on
At the same time, I feel like some of the
some Red
soldiers on the
Velvet.
other side might have been developing some dances. I mean, we've seen what South Korea's got, but would you not watch a dance-off reality TV show between North and South Korea?
I would
Yeah,
watch-
like one's like actually got some like poppy breakdance moves, and the other one is straight up like goose stepping, just like.
Dude, for real, dude. I want to see some rifle tricks. That's all I'm saying.
They'd incorporate a lot of baton action.
lot of baton. Honestly, that is an unappreciated lost art. We used to have real marching bands. I suppose we still do.
They
It's
still
not
do.
really-
Oh, I always
Just
love
not
that.
watching the NCAA.
Where
yeah,
the
just
guy
not
would just
anymore.
like goose step out across the field and throw his baton up in the air and drop it.
Ooh, immediately shot.
All right, one of you guys got to read?
I got pretty inspired with our last hangout. It's a skit called Children of the Curb. It's a skate park that is inhabited with children, and they basically deny adult entrance.
Where they live there.
So it's just a regular skate park.
It's like Children of the Corn, except,
live in a
except
skate
it's a
park.
skate park.
It's basically a real skate park.
I feel like
Right.
it's gonna come off far more Trailer Park Boys. Is it like a cartoon, or is it like a horror movie, or like a Seinfeld-like show where they just kind of hang out? and
It's like
skate?
Beavis and Butthead.
Oh yeah.
Why do I just imagine it like the Boondocks, kind of that animation style?
Just a bunch of filthy kids.
Yeah, just a bunch of dirty street rats.
And then they club you over the head with their skateboards.
Oh, there'd be
if
a
you're
Riley.
over,
There'd be a Riley.
what?
A good
16.
Good
If you can drive, you're out.
good subreddit, lesser known subreddit to check out, Skate Park Freakout, where fucking like mothers will just freak out on kids because the skaters don't want their like little kid to just like climb all over the stuff like it's a jungle gym.
Yeah, because they're trying to do tricks. And
Yeah.
you don't want. It's honestly for their protection. You
Yeah,
don't want them to
exactly.
get hurt.
And like straight up, like there's just like mothers will just freak the fuck out on these
Don't
kids.
touch my child. Don't
I-
let me touch my child. It's like, I'm
I
keeping
assumed
him
it was
confined.
going to involve more of the drugged up variety of people that are very frequent in skate videos. But I have seen skate videos where skaters get the freak out and then they just go, okay, see what happens to your kid. Now kid's hurt.
Right? Just get fucking.
And the worst part is, then the mom goes, "Oh my god, I can't believe you hit my kid." And it's just like, well, your dumbass is letting a fucking 6-year-old climb up and down like climbing
Our
on a
railing.
wall.
We're talking
Yeah.
hockey collisions here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like full. Yeah, it's
Get hip checked and they're down.
All right. Speaking of hockey, Canadian mosh pit.
I'm sorry.
oh, excuse me.
Ooh, sorry.
Excuse
Did
me.
you spill? Did you spill? I can buy you a new one.
Sorry.
Oh no, he fell.
Did you spill? I'll get you a new one.
And then they bring, instead of the hardcore dancers, they bring out guys with hockey sticks and they just high stick people.
Just in jerseys, because everybody in Canada owns
The
a
mosh
hockey
pits have refs.
Oh.
Go to the
And
box.
the refs are fighting. It's so metal.
Go to the box. One track.
Oh no, their pits are a box.
A penalty box.
The pits are a penalty box. And all
Yeah.
the wild boys from the concert
Yeah,
have to go sit in the
take
penalty
it out,
box.
and that's where they mosh.
Just like, no, you're too wild. Go in the box.
You know, speaking of penalty boxes, my favorite thing the Admirals do here is every time somebody goes to the penalty box from the opposing team is they play Man in the Box by Alice in Chains.
That is awesome.
I love that. Just
That
the
is
chorus.
fucking
I love
inspired.
it.
You got another read? All right. Staying with the Canadian theme.
We
Doug
love
loves
our name.
Canada.
America's hat, dude. #1.
Canadian. This goes with the Canadian superheroes. With my broken wrist gauntlet. Thanos imposing his will. Kind of going with Microsoft and Apple imposing their wills. The Thanos.
Oh, the
Thanos' operating system.
Yeah, Thanos operating system. That's
I like
clever.
it.
What the fuck is Thanos' deal though?
He's got a cool glove.
I'm more of a.
It's like Michael Jackson with the one glove.
Apparently he came
I'm definitely
from the
more
solar
of a.
system, though.
I'm definitely more of a DC guy, so I'm more familiar with Darkseid and stuff. But I'll give you a little blurb here.
I really, to be honest, was never that into like superheroes, DC or Marvel.
I had a couple Thor comics just because of the novelty. I wanted me and my friend to go every week, and then after like the third week of going, he like started flaking out, and it was like, okay, I guess we're not going to be comic shop kids, and I just never went back.
I guess I would have been like if I was going to the comic shops. I've always enjoyed that just because it's like I enjoy going to the record store, especially
Yeah,
now
for sure.
because records are like pennies on the dollar.
Oh yeah,
Like that shit is fun too because we're not even going to really like find something. We're like going to find the cheapo stuff. It's like what random stuff can we find for $1 and
No,
buy
that's-
like $25 worth of stuff.
it's basically what I did too. I'd just pick up like a stack of random story arc Thor comics, or like what one was it big into? What's Homeboy's name?
I mean, the only comic
Green
I'm
Arrow.
sorry.
I liked him a lot.
Yeah, Green Arrow's cool. Here's a little backstory on Thanos for you, Doug. He was born on Saturn's moon of Titan.
Yeah, Saturn's moon. I was
He-
gonna say he's from the solar system.
Is the child of the Eternal's mentor, and at first he was a pacifist, and it looks like through his schooling he eventually became fascinated with nihilism and death, to the point of worshiping and eventually falling in love with somebody known as the Mistress of Death, which led him into his path of gathering a crew of superhuman villains and aliens. And
Sounds
then
like my life.
going evil.
Mistress of Death seems like a lady I might like to know.
Kind of touched on Apple products there. This one was kind of for Sean. The Apple iLung.
I wouldn't be
That's
able.
all he's got.
No,
I got
hold
more.
on.
Followed. You got something for that?
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to afford it.
I know. And then it would break, and they wouldn't let you fix it.
No, they'd be like, "Oh, you're gonna die. Oh, you don't have another $1,400 for the Band-Aid to fix it. Sorry."
And then
Or they'd sell me the heart, but not the charger.
for all you ladies out there, the Iraq, not the country in the Middle East. It's those big old fake titties.
Well,
And then
He really expounded on that one. I thought he was just gonna leave it.
no, I got one step further. The Apple II.
they're already experimenting with that.
Oh, just like fucking for like a heads-up display kind of thing.
Like eye implants for microchip HUDs and
Intel had
stuff.
the most interesting one, I feel. It was like a set of sunglasses that didn't look much different. It didn't look like you were wearing a piece of headgear. It was super discreet, and it had like a laser that it like basically shot into your eye, and that's what made the display, so only you could see it, essentially. But
So I
that
never-
kind of got shot down because it's basically you're shooting a laser into somebody's eye, and
that's gonna go wrong eventually. You put out 10,000 of those, somebody's getting blinded.
right.
Because like I never really kept up with the actual release of Google Glass, but it didn't really seem to go anywhere.
The second generation didn't really take off that much. I really feel like it's a medium that's gonna hit, but there's like a lot of stuff that
Too
has to
soon.
be done. Yeah, AR has a lot of stuff that has to
Just
like,
figure it out. Yeah,
It's like
not-
mainly the tracking. It's like how do you project something without basically other apparatus in the room to aid in triangulation? Because you want to be able to look at something, have shit pop up to like explain it, and basically you can move around and your heads-up display would like move with it.
Yeah.
That isn't really it's possible now, but it's not possible to do well.
And cheaply enough.
Yeah,
for the
and
average
cheaply
con-
enough for the
average
average consumer.
Yeah, and that's basically just the technology is just not quite there yet.
It was like straight up the Google Glass stuff was like $1,500
Well, exactly.
for a
yes.
dev kit.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I got the Oculus Rift.
I was just
dev
gonna
kit
bring that
too.
up. I was just gonna say but
That
how
shit
much
was
the
fucking
Rift?
awesome.
Yeah, and it is.
I love our Tron floating zero-G disc game.
Oh, with all the squeakers.
Squeakers beware.
Dude, Hot Ones on that or whatever, Hot Rim Job or whatever that game's called. Bullet Time.
Oh, super hot.
Rim job, super hot. AKA John Wick simulator.
Super Hot Rim Job, John Wick 2.
John Wick meets, it's just Keanu Reeves simulator.
Okay. This one is a song. Who can take Hulk Hogan, bring him to his knees, snap into a Slim Jim, and win a belt or two? The Macho Man. The Macho Man can, because he rises to the top and then he'll get you real good.
Oh, it took me too long to realize the tune that was supposed to go to.
The
because-
Candyman.
Yeah, but no, that's on point. You should have.
Well, that's the
played
thing.
it
That yeah, I wanted it to not be obvious at first.
out. Oh, look at you, burying the lead.
This one is titled Sweatshop.
I
A-
like one.
A literal shop where you can go to taste varieties of artisanal sweat.
It's gonna sound weird, but I could see that catching on. They like,
use the
they
word-
bottle the sweat, they let it dry off, so it's just the salt left from somebody's body, and it'd be like
And then you can,
artisanal
on
you
sweat.
can smell if you're attracted to them or not, at like the pheromone level.
Now,
Or you
here's
can
a-
salt your fries with it.
Here's a fact.
Or you could literally just drink the dog water. It's like fresh, it hasn't fermented yet.
Here's a fact. If you use the word artisanal, white people will buy it. That's just nature.
That was kind of the idea I was going. Was like, what could I do to like make an artisanal like niche shop, but make it the most vile fucking?
Yeah, white
thing
people with way too
possible?
much goddamn money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Looking at you, Whitefish Bay.
Dude, for real. What's up, Shorewood?
Yeah.
This one is entitled Apple Lawsuit. Apple sues Queen for Thunderbolt and Lightning lyric for their proprietary connector, Thunderbolt.
Oh.
And instead of Galileo, it would be like Dave Shapiro. Dave Shapiro. He's the lawyer. He's one of the lawyers who got OJ off.
Oh.
That one's a little deep.
That's a lot of deep.
This one's simple enough. Fap nap time machine. How long have I been out? 20 years. You just wake up with your dick in your hand.
That's what happened.
I'm so confused.
That's what happened to the American folk hero.
You want me to explain it a little bit
Yeah.
more? Okay,
I
so
think
Rip Van Winkle. It's a Rip Van Winkle story.
So do
it's
you-
like you,
Rip
you
Van Winkle.
jerk off and then you get tired afterwards.
Yeah.
So you fall asleep and it's like a time machine. So you're basically like, how long have I been out? It's like, you've been out for 2,000 years. It's like Buck Rogers traveling
Oh,
to
you
the
like
future.
don't age, so you can just sleep forever.
I was thinking a Rip One Winkle type story.
Rip one
where you
winkle.
rink one out.
A one-eyed
You rip
winkle.
one out. You rip one out, and then you get wrinkly.
You winkle
Like
one
Rip
out.
Van Winkle.
Or like the guy from Indiana Jones. I'm withering away.
Is that a robot playing piano or playing guitar? Right there.
It sounds like MIDI, straight up. Like when you put an actual instrument in like a robot plucking it,
Yeah.
it sounds just like a MIDI instrument, pretty much. All right. This one is making fun of the Nazi marches. It's a Nazi memorial march. So people are holding a memorial march for the Nazis, but all the flags are white surrender flags, essentially.
Nazis, man. What are you gonna say, dude? I'm still like a little confused that Nazis are still a thing.
I know, right?
I mean, some people just want to be edgy and stuff.
But then there's like,
But like we like went to school. Like they were the bad guys, right?
But then you have like that whole denier thing, and then there's that little genre of people who's like, well, white people need something too.
yeah, but not Nazis.
Like we can
That's
do a
the
lot
thing.
better.
And we
Yeah.
got plenty. We got like Irish and Irish.
Yeah, I'm not saying that I understand it, but
What about Vikings? Vikings are pretty cool.
well, they latch onto that and they ruin that.
Like even that, well, that's kind of like
Rapey and pillagey.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, but
Well,
they
that's kinda
latch
what
onto
white
that.
people
They
do,
latch
is
onto
we
that.
kinda go kill people and take
They
their
latch
shit.
onto that mythology and like take a lot of stuff from it, and they fucking crap the bed all over that too.
My qualm with it is that you have Nazis, and then you have like the quote Nazis, and people say was like, "What do you mean quote Nazis?" It's like, well, you have Nazis who are like literal Nazi sympathizers. They call themselves Nazis. They like preach this like alt-right propaganda and hold Nazi ideas, and then you have people who are literally like on the exact opposite of the spectrum, calling people who disagree with them Nazis.
Oh yeah, the overuse of the term.
Yeah.
Just because it's been so synonymous with like, you're so wrong that you're just basically a Nazi because, and it's like, well, that's not really, because the problem is that there are actual Nazis.
Yeah, I hate that so much because it dilutes the gravity of
The term.
the actual Nazis. Like, I feel that like does more detriment to like identifying somebody as a Nazi, because
Yeah, it's almost a weird problem where we just actually have too many Nazis.
once you pull the N-word in argument, you have essentially lost.
Yeah. The fact that you can't even like compose yourself to speak in like,
It's basically like responding to somebody like,
no, you're a doo-doo.
I don't have any more points to make, so I'm just gonna go
Yeah, no,
like back
100%.
at you.
It's like I run out of actual like points to make.
So I'm just gonna default to Nazis.
Yeah, and it's
crazy, like even just like saying this would get you in trouble with like certain social groups if they heard it, and to those people,
I'm all right with that.
Fuck you.
I'm kind of alright. I don't know of anybody in my personal life who would really, have a problem with me saying the things I've said. So I think I'll be alright. I'm pretty insulated from a lot of that
I do.
shenanigans.
I have a problem with that, Sean.
Yeah,
She's
Yeah,
looking him
with
right in the
everything.
eyes right now.
she is. She's staring me down.
It's time for you to change, Sean.
Yeah, do you have a German officer's uniform?
Actually,
in your
Sean, that's
closet?
why we're here today.
Are
We're
you
having an intervention.
intervention. You don't have enough pride in your
Trapped,
race, Sean.
And we are recording all this so we can play it back to you later, and maybe you can
Yeah, you're just gonna
conceptualize
straight
your
Clockwork Orange
problems.
me, dude. Just make me watch it over and over again until I'm brainwashed.
just conceptualize and identify the problems that you've been facing and throwing out into the world.
People out there, get help. Send help for me.
Send money.
send money to my PayPal. Help me get out of this mess.
This is going off of the David Copperfield being buried in Jello for 72 hours thing. Like,
Okay.
that was a big hit. Magician's reveal does a fire trick. Person gets burned to death, and the magician just essentially like pulls the curtain back, and it just reveals a dead body. Just like,
Was it an audience member?
yes.
Somebody's grandpa just got turned into a fucking pulled pork roast.
He was if Steve over here, he was the guy who almost got pulled into the human hockey puck situation that I got to do. It's like, no, I'm far too old for this.
No, that will actually kill me. Do you think they could charge him for murder?
Did he
just
sign a waiver?
He'd just disappear.
Did the audience member sign a waiver?
They never do.
They had to have.
Unless
They
they're
had to
planned.
have.
Well, it's always a plan. That's the first thing about magic. It's always a plan.
That'd be the thing. Like, it's actually part of the trick for him to like kill them and then use actual black magic to resurrect him in front of everybody.
And then he gets arrested before he can bring him back from the dead. So it's now a fucking thriller movie where he has to escape prison with magic in
To bring
time
his plant back to
bring
life.
the plant back to life.
Oh,
and
this is
not
good.
Go to
I like
jail.
this.
Boom, instant movie.
Nobody still has to go to jail because the government doesn't know this. He does it for his own moral principles and to.
But then once the guy's walking
It's his
around
best
alive,
friend.
you
He's got to
can't-
bring him back to life.
But then you can't get charged with murder if this guy is
Oh,
walking around.
yeah,
He
yeah,
shows
yeah.
up to the trial and he's like, "I'm not even dead, motherfuckers!" They throw it out. They turn around. They arrest the because there was a bad. There's always an antagonist. There's somebody who's like trying to lock him up the whole time, even though they know he's innocent.
That is like a really good plot to a fucking movie.
Nailed it.
Like, I've never thought of that kind of like thing ever before. I've never seen anything done like that. Maybe like another 48 hours. It's like, you gotta let me out so I can do this magic act. I gotta get the band together.
Shut up. We don't even think you do real magic. And he's like, "I only know one spell, but it brings people back to life." Oh, that'd be great. Everything else is sleight of hand except for that one spell he knows. Like, bring people back from the dead.
He's trying to he needs a black cat for the ritual. He's not gonna murder it, but it happens to be on Halloween and everyone's like,
He has to put peanut butter on his toes and make the cat lick it to do magic.
but everyone's on alert for fucking like teens like grabbing up black cats and like actually murdering them. Apparently that's a thing though. Like, people will take black cats and like do like little dark rituals.
It
on
always seems like
Halloween.
cats are the victim of like young psychopaths.
It's because they're easy to catch.
Not that easy.
Says
according
the
to
young
Game of Thrones.
psychopath.
Says the young psychopath.
That's your rat name.
Young
Lil-
psy-
young psychopath, or
yeah,
Lil Psycho?
YUNG, young psychopath.
Oh, she looks less than thrilled.
Young psychopath walking down the bicycle
I'm too
path.
white to rap.
Oh,
There's
she
no
raps?
such thing. Her? Yeah.
I
she does.
sound white when I rap. Like, just no.
You could do like a Hamilton.
I'm not even
rap
gonna try.
because that's white people rap.
The only rap I know.
I mean, it's
She
not-
gets on the mic and
yeah, that was our sound effect every time we said your name in the first 2 or 3
Yeah, I know, because
episodes.
your guys' headphones are so loud that I heard it every single time it went off.
Oh, well, that takes a lot of the wind out of my sails.
Good.
He
Fuck
thought you
you.
didn't know.
I totally thought she didn't know.
For real?
Yeah, 100%.
I've known since the first time,
Damn.
I was here.
Eye roll. Right? You were just like, ah.
Egg on my face.
Dude, I love that movie. I don't really give a shit.
I know you don't give a shit.
this is the last one I have. It is entitled ASMR Domestic Disturbance.
What's the disturbance?
Well, it's basically like ASMRing, but
Abuse?
yeah, it's
Wow.
like unpleasant. It was originally written with like unpleasant situations, but it's like I want a divorce. I'm gonna take aftershave.
We're gonna use the kid as a pawn.
ASMR alcoholic dad.
Oh my god. Why aren't you more like me?
No, you'd have to be slurring your words.
Why aren't you more like your old man? Oh my god. Someone's gonna listen to this and get really uncomfortable with this segment.
Hey, it's for the yuck yucks. What would be? Could you think
I'm
of
sorry. Is Goofy in the house? A yuck.
Goofy doing ASMR? Is like today's episode is It literally sounds like he's gagging on fucking dicks.
Chodes. Tasty dicks.
All right, let's take a break.
So that's your podcast, huh?
You've been listening to Radio Loud. You can find us on Podbean at radioloud.podbean.com.
Or you can look us up, Radio Loud, on YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher.
Or you can tweet us at Loud Podcast. Only use caps, please.
All caps when you spell my damn name.
We've had a pretty exciting week in world news and some of our personal lives.
Start off with world news, though.
I'm not necessarily leading into that. I'm just kind of
It is some juicy shit.
The war is over.
yeah. There's a whole lot of things, you know.
Right. The war is over.
A little top of the hour news for you, but how was everybody's week? This is April 27th, a lovely Friday.
Fucking crazy. There was a goddamn tactical situation next door.
That's right. We just drove by the aftermath.
Fucking Stefan saw that. He was over here in the area, but literally it had shut down pretty much from Hampton to Silver Spring. Oh no!
Jump on the highway. I had to jump on the highway to get around and then
Yeah,
get
me
off
too.
like right away. It was stupid.
But a guy had like a mental breakdown, popped off some shots in his apartment. Police responded, and he like refused to come out. They pretty much like sieged this guy for 12 hours, and he just refused to come out. He ended up shooting a police officer in the chest, not wounding him though, but he like the bullet went off of his
Best.
his vest. And I think they got him in the leg. But
Winged him. Huh.
I came home from getting the cast on my left arm, and
A typical fist pumping injury.
right, yeah, I broke my forearm a couple weeks back, and just am now finally getting a cast.
Giving too many up yourses to people with that hard forearm slam, huh?
So, yeah, fucking got turned around just trying to go home, and then came around from Silver Spring, got turned around trying to come home. Luckily, the officer was like parked 2 driveways in front of my house, and I was like, "Hey, I live right there. Can I go in?" And he's like, "Sure."
Yeah, I mean,
Better not pull a fast one on me, buddy.
are you an accomplice?
Right.
He
No,
just
I'm just trying to
T1000
help.
runs you down and grabs the back of your car.
Full fucking RoboCop. You are found guilty of trespassing upon a criminal investigation.
That shit is fucking crazy, though.
Yeah, dude, that shit's bonkers.
I
And
didn't.
that just happens in a neighborhood like every now and then around here.
Yeah,
Like,
someone
I
just
remember-
loses it.
Yeah, or like a drug deal kind of goes bad, or like a drug arrest goes wrong, and somebody just like boards themselves up in their house with a couple ARs or something, and suddenly the cops just like surround the place.
Apparently, this guy just had a legit mental breakdown with his
That's
family.
bonkers.
Yeah, and they fucking like took him to the mental hospital afterwards instead of like right to jail.
Yikes.
So I'm not sure what. I don't know. Other than that, I don't fucking know. I didn't
Yeah.
even know anything from the news. I went on Reddit for the Milwaukee subreddit, see if somebody had opened a thread about it, because there was nothing online for news. Went on the Milwaukee subreddit, and somebody was like, "What the fuck's going on at Hampton?"
Well, I mean, to be fair, they were probably busy writing more fluff pieces on whatever like local political affiliate that they're associated with, and that's more important than telling you about like important breaking news in your city. So, I mean, it's not really on them. Like that's not their responsibility.
They're too busy talking about Kanye West and Donald Trump.
I can't believe he's back in the news.
Which
For the
one, Trump
weirdest-
or Kanye.
For the weirdest reason ever.
I saw this thing today. It's
Kanye.
like, stop calling Kanye bipolar. One of my episodes never caused me to turn into a Republican.
Oh, I saw that too.
Yeah, dude, like,
Do that and the
This is
South Park
so
picture
cool.
of Mr. Garrison and Kanye West, and goes Trump and Kanye meet for the first time.
That's the shit of it. Like, all the crazy shit he's done, all just the shit fucking music and like trash apparel he's pumped into culture, and now you hate him for this?
Right? He's been basically profiting off of
whatever he
His
is.
image.
his
His
whole little
shtick.
shtick forever, and it's all kind of just been like a narcissistic cash grab. And
Yeah,
people are
like-
like surprised now that like Kanye only really cares about Kanye.
Dude used to have some like legit art and like some stuff that was relevance, and like honestly, he used to be above selling tennis shoes to fucking people, but that's just kind of what he turned into. He kind of turned into the Kardashians' little like model puppet.
He's the black Ken doll. Yeah,
For real though, those shoes are ugly.
dude, for real though, they're like snowshoes mixed with real shoes.
Yeah,
Why they so wide on the bottom, bro?
yeah.
Answer me
I
this.
know you
Riddle
ain't
me
running.
this. Well, see, it's extra surface area, so if you run fast enough, you can actually walk on water.
No, it's extra surface area so you can curb stomp someone.
They're like foam bottom.
But yeah, but they're
Stick
not.
with the steel toes.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're boots,
It's so you
though.
can stomp somebody and not hurt them.
Yeah, it's
It's like squeaky
Nerf
toy
or
noise.
nothing.
And you're surprised coming from Kanye?
It's like a squeaky toy noise.
Tries to act hard, yet marries a fucking Kardashian.
yeah, dude. Nobody's more street than a Kardashian. What's that credibility?
That's because they've been working the streets.
Dude, straight up, ever since Trump went into office, Kardashians, they're out. They just can't compete with the Trump.
It's not outrageous enough.
It's because that guy's just a swirling vortex of orange and
He's just. I mean, it's not even like he's
Okay.
good or evil. He's just absolute chaos.
Yeah, I know. That's what somebody was saying, that that's what they attribute this Korea deal. That's how Trump is taking credit for it. He's essentially employed some tactic that Nixon did with China in order to open up relations, just being like this outlier essentially, where Korea before was the crazy one. Now he's crazier.
Yeah.
So they're like, this isn't working anymore.
Yeah, you can't be the.
Whether that's true or not, I don't know.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people attribute far more intelligence to Donald Trump than I think he maybe
No,
deserves.
absolutely.
I don't really know the full extent of what's going on in South Korea because it all happened like overnight, dude.
I mean, I guess if
The
we're
whole
gonna get into
Korea,
it, we can just get
say
into
the whole
it.
Korea thing.
I doubt it really happened overnight. Like, that's why I feel
It started happening when I went to bed yesterday. It was just
like,
weird.
as far as like the public front of it has.
Oh yeah, for sure. But there hasn't really been any information.
Well, I actually I read some pretty interesting stuff, and there's a couple different. Obviously, it's pretty speculative, but
Anything is at this point.
yeah, I mean definitely. But some of the big theories have been one that worries from China about the nuclear fallout from some of their testing
Yeah,
going over the
exactly.
border have caused China to basically go, okay, buddy, we're now a big enough world player where we can't just as they said it, hide in the long grass of other countries, because China is now the long grass of world powers in the eastern hemisphere.
And it's also the U.S. and China are literally to the point where they're trading a lot of goods. They're trading culture at this point.
Oh, definitely.
So it's not really the situation that was 50 years ago.
And then also there's speculations about whether the earthquake was natural or caused by, the collapse of a bunch of their nuclear test site tunnels. And then they had a couple other things that they're speculating that maybe they've lost some. Either they've completed it and now they have something to bring to the bargaining table, or they fucked up so badly that they're like, oops, we kind of blew a hole in our mountain and destroyed our own progress, and we kind of are fucked now.
Or maybe just with the regime change. I'm not saying Kim Jong-un necessarily wants this, but can you really expect
It to last
Yeah,
forever.
do you think he really has the same outlook as his grandfather?
Well,
That's
there's
kind of
also-
what I'm going in on. I mean, the dude studied in Europe, and I get that it's possible for him to continue
He
maintaining.
went to school in the Western world.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in
I
Switzerland.
just said that he went to school in Europe.
Yep.
Yeah, I actually saw an article that the food that they served him when he came to South Korea was like a a Swedish dish. I don't remember what it was exactly, but it was to remind him of his time there. But like realistically, can you see that front just being maintained indefinitely?
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like part of it,
I don't.
He kept the rhetoric up because, like, I would speculate he would potentially keep the rhetoric up because you can't just like change from oil to solar power instantaneously. You have to slowly work through some things first.
Totally.
I've also heard that his generals might run far more of the country than he does as far as the day-to-day.
What
Well,
I'd
a
really
couple
like
of
to
them
see
have
is the
had the-
unification of the peninsula and the quality of life for North Koreans to improve. But baby steps, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely not going to be happening overnight.
And to the generals, a good number of them have just disappeared over the last 4 years. So
Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, we hear stories that come out of here, and it's kind of hard to really know with how like little transparency is, like what, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, like we know nothing about like who's actually in charge. I mean, like I couldn't name any Korean generals right now.
I couldn't either, but I'm just saying I have a feeling that part of that has to do with him trying to usher in some sort of a change.
Yeah,
Although
I mean, who
it's all
knows?
speculation.
For
So
real. I mean, maybe in 20 years we'll have a really good,
documentary on it.
yeah, like a lot of information about what actually is happening right now. But we probably are watching a little bit of history. At the same time, I've heard they've also like come to the table multiple times. It's like the Palestine and Israel thing, where like they come to the table every like
Some
5
pandering.
years, and then they kind of end up going, yeah, well, fuck you too, still you dick, and then they go home.
I feel I have a lot of my chips in that pandering table.
But at the same time, I mean, if nothing else, it's better than them shooting at each other over the border. So you know,
Right.
I'll take a
Definitely.
handshake any day, dude.
Definitely.
Baby steps.
I saw some good hot takes on it. The fucking about the Avengers being the most ambitious crossover event.
Oh.
North South Korea just being like, hold my beer.
Yeah, yeah.
That fucking Avengers hype, man. I asked somebody who's going to see the Avengers to like tell me show me or get the crystal locations and colors so I can put them on so I can rhinestone my fucking cast.
There we go. And just turn it into a fucking the gauntlet of what is it called again?
The Infinity Gauntlet, I think.
Okay.
Yep.
I think
There's a couple Infinity Stones out in the EU right now for their movies. Actually,
they're
I gotta-
both in Steve-O's fucking kidneys. The alcoholic Avengers, they gotta get like the kidney stones.
Yeah, dude. Hulk's got a terrible one from his drinking problem.
Oh my god, could you imagine how big a kidney stone would have to be to like hurt the Hulk pissing out a fucking elephant trunk?
Well,
Probably.
that's the thing I've heard is the reason his pants never rip is the rest of him gets buff, but his dick stays the same, like normal human size. So it's actually comically small. So I don't know if his dick could even
It's like
handle
one of
it.
those Greco-Roman sculptures.
Yeah, where it's just like he's got a baby dick. I wonder if we evolved as humans to just have bigger dicks.
Maybe
Missed out.
it was bred in.
Missed
Yeah, I
out.
know.
Could have got the corkscrew
Some
duck
people
penis.
sure the fuck have not.
Oh,
I know that's not aimed at me,
No.
but it sounds like it fucking is.
I mean, she was looking right at you.
I know she was, but at the same time,
Get that corkscrew
homie's
penis.
not
dude.
exactly worried.
That duck corkscrew penis.
Yeah, you have a duck corkscrew penis.
Yeah, and when I fucking pull it all the way out, it's like 9 inches long, but then it just boings right back.
What's the fucked up anatomy of the female duck's vagina? Because apparently that has like,
It like corkscrews the other way.
yeah,
So it like
It's designed to be
technically
corkscrew
doesn't
fucked.
work.
but it's basically
But it
been just like
works.
the design. The duck's penis has evolved to aid it to rape, and then the female duck's vagina has aided it to not be raped.
Yeah.
Essentially,
Fucking ducks,
fucking
man.
corkscrew vagina.
Yeah, ducks
Exactly,
are
fucking
evil.
ducks.
Fucking ducks, man.
It's like a fucking
Duck?
bottle of wine.
Duck.
But it's a duck vagina. A bottle of duck vaginas?
Like it makes that noise.
I feel like it wouldn't even make the pop. It would just, the whole time as it's screwed in, it would just be the constant sound of the cork sliding on
I
glass.
think in a previous episode I actually did a take on Donald Duck coming.
Yeah, this is definitely not the first time we've spoken about duck genitalia on the podcast.
It's because it's just a topic that we find
Fascinating, arousing, even.
Fascinating.
I feel that should worry me.
Fascinating.
It should definitely. In
Corks-
fact, I have
corks
something to
crew.
share with you later.
What's the genre of anthropomorphic porn where it's like
Furries?
ducks? Like the Mighty Ducks, like that kind of genre. Because you got like
You mean
scalies.
specifically Mighty
Yeah,
Duck
yeah,
furry
like
porn?
like ducks. Because you got scalies, which are the lizards, and then
What?
you got furry.
Birds
Yeah,
of a
Good thing
feather.
we're on your computer.
Here he goes.
Birds of a feather.
Yeah, dude, don't go too deep into this because it will not take you that long to get to pornography.
Heaven
just-
forbid
I love
you
how
look up
that sixth one is
pornography.
from Doctor Who.
Heaven forbid you look up pornography on a private internet connection in a private home.
I'm gonna be loaning this out to Steve-O. He's gonna be like, "What the fuck is this?"
What's scalies, bro?
Listen to the podcast.
Oh, Steve-O knows what fucking scalies is.
Oh, he
man.
brought it
knows
up,
what
huh?
fucking everything is.
Yeah, because he fucks with weird girls.
Actually, he was there this one night. Me, Sam's girlfriend Lisa, and him were just like talking about alligator dicks for some reason. And we got on the topic of like scaly pornography, and Sam's girlfriend was like all about that. She's like, what? What is this? I have to look it up now. Stefan is literally on a Wikipedia page with like a fucking man dolphin and a thong and a.
We're learning some shit today.
Was that a
ladies and gentlemen.
Doberman Pinscher man?
Are you trying to get to Hitler?
7 pages to Hitler.
No, we don't go that way.
Or the 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Is that what it's called?
Jesus.
We've talked about that before too. We need some
6 degrees, I believe.
6 degrees of separation. In the news this week, Golden State Killer
Oh,
arrested.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
75 years old.
Do they
I
know
think.
it's him, or are they
75,
speculating?
It's DMA confirmation. It's speculation. He hasn't been convicted, but he's been arrested as the primary suspect.
Used to be a cop.
Yeah.
Fucking The Onion had a good hot take on it. It was nation shocked as cop gets punished for murders.
Oh, that's sizzly.
Tack all the rapes that he had on there when he was in uniform too.
Yeesh.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, they
punishing-
said that most of the rapes that he committed would have been done when he was still a cop before he got his badge taken.
So what time era for the uninitiated? What era was this in? Like what time frame was this in? Not the capture, but
the 60s, I think.
70s,
70s maybe.
I think 70s.
and what part of the country?
Golden State, man. Cali.
Sacramento, I think a lot of them happened in.
Yeah, his.
I had an article about this.
Did you
About
see
how
it?
many?
Did you hear how he got caught?
How many?
Wasn't
like
it
40
was
plus.
Wow, that's a lot. Wasn't it through some sort of like DNA kit?
Yeah,
Something
one of
like
his
that?
relatives sent in their DNA profile.
And it was a 100% match.
No, it wasn't. It popped up as a relative of theirs.
No, but the DNA sample he put in was caught as a match, but he was too young to be the possible suspect.
That's what's so fucked up about
Well,
those
it couldn't
things.
be
Like
a match because
people
how DNA works.
are literally getting
no, it
online.
was because he had like the exact same DNA, but then when they traced it to the actual resident, I read the article. They traced it to the actual
not how
resident.
DNA
He was
works.
too young to have committed them. So then they realized that his grandfather or something or father was the culprit.
That's what I'm saying. He would have. You can tell when DNA
Yeah, he
strands
was
are
living.
familially related, but it wouldn't be an exact match because only people with matching DNA are identical twins.
Yeah, he was living with his daughter and his granddaughter when he was captured.
Yeah, that shit's fucking creepy. Like just voluntarily sending in DNA samples, even like some of them are free, and it's like
For Ancestry.com
it's
and
like
stuff.
yeah, a lot of people don't understand like when the product is free, like you are the product.
Well, what they do to most kids now in hospitals is they just take their blood and do a sample when they're born without even consent.
But even those like kits, people will just be like, "Oh, I just sent away for this kit on Facebook," and it's like,
No,
why would you sign up for that? That's just kind of creepy.
Yeah, it says right here. Before the arrest, law enforcement uploaded the Golden State Killer's DNA into from the crime scenes to Florida-based genetic genealogy website GED Match and identified the killer's family. They then identified D'Angelo as the main suspect and acquired his sample of DNA, which matched.
Yeah, his DNA matched. The
Yeah,
family
genetic
member-
genealogy match. DNA match from his family.
That's what I'm saying. Is that, yeah, they
That's
got
exactly what I said. He was a DNA match.
They fight, but the sex is great.
You know when that joke was funnier? When you told it last week. This thing keeps turning off.
Yeah, I know I
That's
told
the
it last
issue.
week. That's because you guys bicker like an old bitchy couple.
No, Stefan said it last week about us.
I said it.
No, I said it.
That's
Oh,
Stefan.
well, I said it the week prior.
Oh, well, you know who said it?
Say it
the
every
week before
session.
that? This fucking mic splitter keeps turning off.
Yeah.
So, Cosby.
Yeah, another rapist.
Killed
He didn't
Fucking
do. He didn't
Cosby.
do 12 murders and 50 rapes though, but he's still a rapist.
Right.
He's raped, yeah, a shit ton of rapes, though.
I was talking to somebody this week, and they're kind of like, it's like, but he's old. It was like, it's like in the end of his life. And I'm like, so?
So we're not gonna let the Golden State Killer get away either.
Right?
Yeah, it's
But,
almost like fucking people's lives up should be, like, punishable.
Apparently,
What?
they were like talking about his risk to be like a flight kind of thing after his sentencing, and apparently they had said like he's at risk for being that because of his age. He like might kill himself or something, or he has an airplane. He might just decide to flee the country. And apparently, he stood up in the courtroom and screamed at the district attorney, "I do not have a plane, asshole." And I was just like, holy
I saw that.
That
shit.
wasn't all he said. He went off on like a tirade. He like was talking shit, and like a bunch of his accusers were like, "Yeah, now you see the other side, the dark side of Billy C."
I saw a picture of
See Trump's tirade?
Oh my God,
On
the
Fox?
Fox and Friends thing.
That's weird.
They were so quick to cut him off. Or,
Not
like,
fast
cut that.
enough.
I know
His
they
ass
were trying
rambled for
so
like 30
hard,
minutes. He
though.
called into Fox and Friends on the morning show.
I love you guys. How you guys doing?
Essentially, like, you can see the faces of these people as he like kind of goes more and more off the rails. He starts, what was he talking about? He goes back to like the Hillary and like leaked email things from like literally 2 years ago.
Then he
The
just
elec-
starts rambling about his league of calamitous intent.
Yeah, and he's like telling blatant lies to where even like the Fox and Friends journalists are like, that's actually not true. But you can see just like the horror in their eyes as he basically goes on like Grandpa's old like I'm a little out of it rant at Thanksgiving. And it's super uncomfortable. Oh my God.
Yeah, all three of them are just staring blankly at the camera while he just rambled.
Dude, you know all three of those hosts went as soon as the set was over, went off into their dressing rooms, did a huge line of cocaine, and it's just like that's why we do it.
Oh my God. Seriously, like I'm starting to see in like a bunch of other forms of media, like just the rumblings is like, is Trump gonna get arrested now? Is he going to prison? Like that's starting to get thrown around more and more and more and more now.
Here's my question. If as the president, the dude in charge, the dude in the big chair, if like, let's say 70%, I feel like that's almost a realistic number if America gets solidified enough. If 70% of America thinks you should be in jail, at what point is that just like, no, fuck you, you're done?
Right. Well, like there has to be due process and all that shit, but it's like I feel like
Yeah, but as with anything, you know, kangaroo courts happen, and sometimes it's a formality.
a lot of people can be wrong about something. It can be sensationalized, and I do not at all think that this is like sensationalism. I really think there is it's like
It's a pretty solid case being
the
built
curtain is like getting ready to drop. I really feel like what,
up. Look at our giant shit sandwich.
but it's not just that like whatever it is, they're gonna nail him for something, and it might not be like something that you would just be. Like it would necessarily be satisfying to nail him for, but it's like nailing Capone for tax evasion. Just get him for fucking something and get him the fuck out.
Yeah, and then when that's the thing is even then, we will almost guaranteed not put Trump in jail. Putting a
Right, he'll
president
get
in jail,
pardoned.
He will either get pardoned or he will resign, and the whole thing will go away.
Right. Well, still, like Nixon, even after that words, he had to be pardoned.
Yeah, no, and he was. And
resigned,
it's
and
basically it's all written down, just like, all right, just step down. We'll pardon you. You disappear from public life, and
That's how you do it, ladies and gentlemen. You become president.
Do you imagine that Pence
And then-
steps up as vice president to president afterwards, and he's just like, nope.
and then
He totally wouldn't though.
No,
He'd
he
totally
would.
pardon him, and
He would.
Mike
He's a
Pence is a
politician.
weird guy too.
Yep. That's like some of that shit's even like scarier to me.
Mike Pence,
Yeah.
as president, I know.
All right. This news story it's a little bit old. This was published on the 15th, but there was a prominent gay rights lawyer who set himself on fire
I saw that.
Whoa.
in a protest suicide somewhere, I think in Brooklyn.
I believe
Oh, it
the-
was here in the States. I was gonna
Yeah.
say it wasn't here in the States, was it?
Yeah. David S. Buckle, 60, was found near Prospect Park's baseball field at about 6:30 a.m. after a passerby reported a severely burned individual. I am David Buckle, and I just killed myself by fire as a protest suicide. Read a handwritten suicide note. I apologize to you for the mess. And apparently it was in protest of like pollution and stuff like that. That was his new cause. He had been like a gay rights champion for a really long time, but he started to focus his efforts on pollution.
Yeah, and
Jeez.
clean energy and stuff. And yeah.
I mean, more power to you for trying to tackle the hard stuff, but jeez.
But straight up, like that, for like what he did, it didn't even hit like probably what he thought it might have intended to. Like
This is the first time I'm hearing
you
about
haven't
it.
heard about it, so that's kind of a shame. But it's like literally like a monk setting himself on fire.
Yeah, the
I
Tibetan
mean-
monks were super, super known for that.
Did he just feel it was that loss that the fight was was being lost that strongly that this was the only way to turn it around? I mean, the guy was a freaking lawyer.
I mean, I don't know. He must have had something else going on that he wanted to like kill himself. But Jesus Christ, like, I guess maybe like he was depressed in another right. I'm only speculating here, but he had to have been depressed and be like, well, I guess if I'm gonna kill myself, I might as well use it as like a benefit for something.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know really anything about the guy before I read this article about him and this situation. But yeah, that was pretty crazy. I mean, I know like a lot more about the historical like self-immolation that was going on. They actually used to put they outfitted a bunch of their like their military stuff when they were kind of like, you know, during the whole like free Tibet movement in like the 90s. And they outfitted them all with water cannons, so when they'd catch monks trying to set themselves on fire during like, you know, like military patrols and stuff to like make a statement, they'd try and catch them and put them out and stuff. Like, no, you don't make a fucking statement here. You don't even get to kill yourself unless the government says you can.
Jesus,
Yeah, that shit was pretty crazy.
that is brutal.
There's been suicides a lot in the past week. Avicii and Vern Troyer both have been speculated as suicides.
I heard Avicii was more existing health problems, but I suppose maybe.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
he had
super
existing health
bad
problems
alcoholism.
because he had like pancreatitis, I think it was, from
Yeah, and
like
some-
alcoholism. But then his family's statement basically
Oh, might have implied
all but like flat out said it.
it. Yikes.
And then with Vern Troyer, they don't exactly know. I mean, dude was a small dude, and he had like 3 times the legal limit of alcohol in his system when
he
he
had
was
just
taken to the
gotten
hospital.
out for an attempted suicide.
And that too, yeah.
Yikes.
Yep.
It's not worth it, people.
Of all the places that I saw that creep up, it was on the WoW subreddit. There was like a big mourning for Vern
Vern?
Troyer.
Does he play WoW?
I think he did, and he did an advert like back in the 2000s.
Here's the real question: was he Alliance or Horde?
He was Alliance.
He was
a
Alliance. Yeah, he was a gnome.
gnome. I haven't even seen the ad. I
He
just
was,
know.
though.
Yeah, like what?
No,
what
I
else
meant
was he?
when he played.
I don't know.
He was probably a gnome.
Not sure.
I feel like
What if he was an elf? Just like, what would it be like?
yeah, I don't feel like
If my ears
You
are
know,
pointing.
maybe inside Vern was a Tauren.
Nice save.
You know.
Well, absolutely. Like, just imagine like going through life in his position. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, being a movie star would be kind of cool.
But still, like, you know, the roles he was getting were primarily like almost like like circus freak.
Very typecast.
Well, yeah, I mean,
kind
that's
of
why,
things.
like, that's the whole story of why Peter Dinklage almost didn't do Game of Thrones, because he's like, oh, great, a dwarf. I love playing midgets because I'm a midget.
The thing I first discovered Peter Dinklage in a drama with Vin Diesel called Find Me Guilty, where he was a lawyer.
I remember that.
Yeah,
it was a really good movie too.
Yeah, I mean, and like that's the thing is, you know, like they basically had to convince him, like, no, this is a really good acting role, and like you should probably read it. And
Right.
then, like, and obviously he did read it and take it, but like, because like that's his whole thing is he's had similar issues with like I don't want to
Being
be cast.
typecast.
Yeah, I don't
But
want to be typecast
realistically,
just because this guy.
I'm not trying to be rude, but what are they only going to shoot the upper half of your body? Are they going to get you stilts? Like,
No, they
I
shot
think-
him as like a little person in like they even
no, I mean
fully
to not be
acknowledged-
typecast as a midget. Like, I don't see
Well,
many
I
ways
I
to
think he
get
was
around
more
it.
worried about being like a dwarf rather than a
token
creature.
dwarf?
Like rather than being a human who's just a little person. Like
Yeah.
being an actual fucking like mythological creature like
Oh.
dwarf. Like
I
or
don't want to
something
be an
like
Oompa
that.
Loompa. I feel
Yeah,
you know?
or like being a gnome or something
Or an
like,
Ewok.
mythological that they would have in Game of Thrones. I think
Yeah,
he was
and
more
they
worried
actually
about that.
they actually cast him where like the father was essentially like ashamed of him because he was a dwarf and all that. Like it was actually
Exactly,
like
yeah.
a dwarf.
yeah, but
And the stigmas that would come with that. Not like oh, I'm a dwarf of the Netherlands kind of character.
Yeah,
That's a
rather than
real
someone
place.
suffering from dwarfism. Yeah.
I just thought
Regions.
I thought you were more saying I'm a midget who doesn't want to be playing a midget.
See,
I want to
I'm over
play. I
here
want to
as-
play like a grown person. I just
Well, see, and I'm over here thinking that I think they would probably want to be in a movie where they can be a dwarf, where that's not the whole point of their character,
Yep.
is that they're not a one-dimensional, like, can I get a character that's got more to him than the fact that, haha, he's only 3 feet tall? Like, can I do something else?
But that was essentially all of Vern's roles.
I
Mini
acknowledge.
me, all he could say was and he was literally mini me. Was his whole character.
yeah.
Yeah, and at the same time, I'm sure as soon as they say cut,
You know it's
It's-
bad when Wee Man's got more dialogue than you.
for real though, you're like, he just, and then he goes to being a normal, coherent individual who's like, yes, I'm not actually, a
He had some
brain-dead
cool
clone.
YouTube videos. Vern used to have his own YouTube channel, making some at-home creations.
I admire Dinklage because he decided early on, once he had gotten his first like legitimate paid acting gig, he decided that at that point he was going to focus on acting, and from that day he was going to be a paid actor and continue to pay his way with acting gigs. And he used to be in like a lot of plays, and that's how he was making his Skrilla before he got into the movies.
Before he got his big break on Throne.
That wasn't even his first big break. Like,
No, yeah,
Find Me
no.
Guilty was definitely before that.
He's been in quite a few things. I mean, he's an elf.
Yeah, I was about to say that's what I remember him from. Now, I mean,
I-
like now I obviously think of Game of Thrones, but before then, obviously Elf was like the one thing I would.
Yeah, he's
have
like a
seen.
CEO in Elf, and Will Ferrell makes an ass out of himself by basically going,
Thinks
"Oh,
that he's
you're
an
an
elf."
You're an elf too. I'm from
Like,
the North Pole." And
you're a
Peter
long way
Dinklage
from
basically
North
gets
Pole.
furious with him and beats the shit out of Will Ferrell. And it's
That's
actually
kind
pretty
of
funny.
It's a great
that's
fight
got to
scene.
be some great retribution just for like playing on like the whole typecast
Yeah,
thing.
it's
You know?
just like, yeah, he's gonna be an ass about it, and then you're gonna kick the shit out of him. You're like, he grabs, he like gets up on the table, walks across, and like grabs him by the fucking scruff of his shirt. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Especially like looking back and going like, ooh, that's Tyrion. You don't fuck with him.
Are you looking at what else he's been in?
who's the actress with the dragons?
Oh,
McHot Pants.
yeah, Daenerys McHotbooty. I don't know her real name actually.
And she's in the new Solo flick.
Oh yeah.
I'm wondering if they're gonna pull a bait and switch
Pornhub?
with her.
Got him.
But I don't know. Apparently, her and Han
Amelia
Solo have
Clarke.
like Amelia Clark. Apparently, they have like a little.
Oh, her and
Thing.
Dawn Lover.
I don't know how I felt as her playing Sarah Connor.
She's in Star Wars.
Yeah, she's in.
She's gonna be in the new one. That's
yeah,
what
she's
Doug was
in
just
the
talking
new one.
about.
The
Sorry.
solo flick. Yeah, he was not talking about a masturbation.
She's
No,
one of,
I like heard Solo and thought something like I didn't realize like you were talking Star Wars.
she's one of Han Solo's side bitches because that's all Han Solo had before.
Before Leia
Yeah.
and after Leia,
And probably during Leia.
and probably with Leia.
In there was a book called the Han Solo trilogy, and there was this chick he essentially saved from what's called the Maw, which is part of the Kessel Run. And she flies too close to a black hole, and she like starts like getting sucked
did that
into
once.
the event horizon. And he goes in and he saves her and risks her life, and then she like falls in love with him afterwards, and he's just like, I
As
don't
you
want to
do.
do this. I'm not about the relationship.
Abort.
And then he leaves her
And
with
then
a
she
note
gets
one day.
pregnant.
He flies
Abort,
away
abort,
from the
abort.
fields. Just skirts off in the Millennium Falcon.
Skirt.
Keep your feels, bitch.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, we did the entire beginning to end Game of Thrones thing in about a month and a half.
It was disgusting.
Marathon.
Yeah, and then we did Westworld, season 1 in a week. So yeah,
How'd you
My
feel
brain
about
hurts.
those?
Westworld is awesome.
It is good.
Westworld's so good. You finish the first season, you're like, God damn it! Now I have to go back and watch
That
it
shit
again.
had me so fucked up.
Yeah,
like,
there's a couple
there's some
moments there where
moments.
it does break your brain for a couple seconds. and you're just-
Humans fucking robots.
It's literal- it's the-
robots fucking humans.
Robots fucking robots. Like, there's a lot of weird shit going on.
There's Jack in.
At this point, has any human fucked a human though in the show? Is my real question.
And the thing is, you can't prove it because you can't always tell.
Exactly.
It's like being gay. You can't always tell.
That shit blew my mind where Ed Harris, like the way they worked in Ed Harris's character is him like being the old man, and it like presents it like this is congruent. This is happening in the same timeline.
I love when they, because like Emily was asking
I
that a
started to
couple of
figure that
times.
shit out
She
near
was
the
like,
end.
when is this all happening? And I'm just like, what do you
Yeah.
mean? And she's like,
I was like, this
don't
can't be in the right
think-
order. This is all out of order.
Yes, dude, that whole, I love
Fucked
that.
me up.
My favorite quote is when Mozart died, they said he became music, and it's just like, oh my god, you're
Oof. Yeah.
spoilers.
Not exactly.
No.
Though
Yeah.
that
I
that
just
gesture
alluded.
was more for table pounds.
Oh, I'm so excited. It's actually not me pounding
Yeah,
on the
must
table.
really
That's my
enjoy it.
erection hitting the bottom of the table.
Must really be enjoying Westworld.
Dude, it's so
Second
good.
season started up recently, right?
I know. We
Yeah,
have
I know.
the
The
first.
second
yeah, we
episode
have
is
the first
tomorrow.
episode
No,
to
wait,
watch.
Sunday.
Yeah, and the second episode's coming.
I'm gonna
out.
have to resub to HBO Go.
Hobo Go.
I think what's it, The Expanse. That's one of the only other series that I'm interested in right now.
I don't even think I've heard of that.
It's pretty good. It's like a future, like politics thing where there's the Earth, Mars, and Belters, which are miners who exist right in the asteroid belt.
Okay.
They're essentially like the marginalized workers who feel like they're being taken advantage of because they're like miners essentially.
I can relate.
And they've started to like evolve differently just because each
Separate
one
breeding pools.
yeah. Well, separate breeding pools and just like Mars
environments.
has different gravity than Earth. Like their bodies are just weaker when they come to Earth.
I was just gonna say, have you heard the thing about that? Is basically the speculation of somebody born not on Earth without the gravity of Earth would never be able to come back to Earth without like basically getting their bones broken.
Right.
Because if you've never had to adjust to like the bone and muscle strength you need for this level of gravity,
Exosuits, dog.
that's
they-
what's gonna be. Yeah.
They don't even know what essentially would happen even if you could you could conceive in space.
You
but
can't. You need gravity for sex to work.
well, they actually have like these little suits for people to like essentially zipper themselves together so they can be held together close enough to fuck. I saw them like testing it out in the Vomit Con where they were like, okay, we have 30 seconds for you guys to like try and get in the suit in 0G before we waste a bunch of money to like send this like essentially like sweatsuit that's like 30 grams that costs $1 million to lift that much into space.
Yeah, because the amount of fuel needed to push this into space.
That just seems fucking so grody. Not the thought of having sex in space, but just like the bodily fluids and the sweat. Just like imagine just like a
It just sticks to
jizz
you.
floating around and it gets away from you and somebody else not even involved, and is like,
Just
is
gets
that,
it right in the
is that
face.
fucking semen?
And then the sex suit, you're just trapped together basically inside a giant condom.
You would legitimately have to have like some sort of vacuum system set up for that to just be like, okay, we got to suck up the fluids now.
Porn would be
Vacuum
so
bed.
hard to film.
They already have that kind of stuff.
Oh, but think of all the
Space porn.
angles. Think of the angles you could see from.
It
I
might
feel
be
like I'd
easier.
get motion
You-
sickness just
you-
because they'd be like floating.
You could set the
around
camera
and-
just right at the angle that you
Don't
want it,
even
and
need a
then leave it there.
cameraman
You don't even
anymore.
need a cameraman. Yeah.
There.
Dude, cam girls would be doing some crazy shit. Just kicking off the wall, just like, I just watched this bitch fuck herself while doing triple backflips.
And she
And got paid for it.
sticks the dildo to one wall and then like
The jumps
flips
at
off
it.
and then jumps at it and tries to like land with it. It's like doink. She misses and gets it up the ass. She's like, oh!
That's what I'm looking forward to in the future.
Raunchy.
Getting a dildo up the ass.
No, what? God damn it, Emily.
We can make that happen, Sean.
It's fucking
Peg him.
Jesus Christ.
Peg him. Shout out to my boy at work, JK.
Does he like to get pegged?
No, he uses like for a terminology. There's like a mandrel that like goes in and out of the press essentially, and there's something else that like drives it. It like moves something.
Yeah, that
And
motion is called pegging.
If
'cause
you
it-
have something like if you have the sensor set too far and it can't move any further, he essentially refers to it as pegged. And every time he says that, I was like, "Oh, I'm pegged, huh?" He was like, "What's that?" At first, then I explained it to him, and he was like, "Oh."
yeah,
No.
there's a safety because I have a. I don't actually have to deal
You guys
with it.
got a
'cause I have
safety word for that when it's
Apples.
No, when we because the forklift, the motion of the forks going out from the body is called the pegging motion. And when you go through the safety scans, I don't actually have to do one because I have a supervisor badge. Even though I'm not a supervisor, don't ask. It makes you go through like are the chain? It literally goes like wheels, chains, pegging, and it's like damn, we're gonna have some fun on this
It's
truck.
escalating quickly.
So I saw an article that some British schools are trying to ban
Pegging.
what is it?
Seagulling?
No, analog clocks.
Seagulling?
Because kids can't tell the fucking time.
We better ban them because kids
Yeah, that they're
can't
changing
read
them all to digital clocks now. And as someone who deals with children and who has tried to work them through like the learning the time and on their homework and shit,
Yeah.
it is fucking ridiculous how stupid these children are. I'm like, and well,
Well,
one of
that's
them,
the thing. Like, children are stupid.
Stupid.
Even the smart ones are fucking stupid.
they are.
Nah, they haven't learned that much yet.
I actually
No, they
sent
haven't.
Steve-O,
Oh,
not to
so
cut you off, I'll let you go back to that, but
frustrating.
I was messaging Steve-O earlier this week. I found my new favorite subreddit. It's called Children Are Fucking Stupid. And it's just wall to wall of just kids doing stupid fucking kid shit.
I did have one kid though the other day. So one of my other kids was getting picked up by his aunt and uncle. And then one of my little 5-year-olds was just like, CJ, I don't know you're black. Oh, sorry. No, he's like, CJ, I didn't know that you're black. And I had to sit there and not laugh. And his aunt and uncle are just fucking rolling on the floor. They are dying. And he's like, what's funny? It's like, I can't even explain it to you because you don't fucking
So
understand.
was he black though?
He is black.
Oh, and he
like
didn't know?
CJ's black, but like this one little white kid just didn't
figure
fucking
it
know.
out until he saw his parents and was like, "Oh."
It wasn't even his parents, but I was just like, how do you not like click? But at the same time, like my mom worked in like downtown MPS or whatever, and for the first time brought Dan, like my brother, when he was a baby, into her school.
And she was like, "Emily, I didn't know you were black."
No. They look at my mom and was like, they were like, Mrs. Whatever. They're just like, your baby is white, and she's like, yeah, I'm white.
That's
My
how it
husband is white.
That's how it works.
That's how it works. Like,
You mix red
we
and
didn't
red to
adopt
get
one from
red.
Africa, but like these are our own. These
Yeah.
are my genes, and they were just like could not fucking understand that. So I feel like
What grade
I
does your
want
mom
to
teach?
know. She did at that point. She was teaching first grade, so 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds.
Oh yeah, so they're dumb enough for that.
Yeah,
that's
totally. And that
excusable.
was like the 6-year-old who like didn't fucking understand.
One of my most like the favorite thing, the most hilarious thing I ever read about like kids not being exposed to race essentially was a story on Reddit. It was like a thread of something was like, what has your kid said that you just could not fucking believe that they said? And this person was like, I had taken my child out to the supermarket and pretty much at the top of his lungs had said, "Look, Mom, a Cosby."
Ah!
He had never seen a black person in real life, and his only exposure to black people was
Bill
through the
Cosby.
Cosbys.
Dude, one of my favorite of that is the kids don't get raised. It's a picture of this. It's this mom who takes a picture of her son and his best friend at preschool, and she's like picking him up or whatever, and they're like, dude and his best friend got the same haircut, so the teacher wouldn't be able to tell them apart. Except for one of the kids is white and one of the kids is black, and they are sitting there cheesing with this identical fucking fade, just like she's never gonna get us. And it's just like fucking children.
That's the cutest picture. No, but yeah, kids are fucking stupid. I could go on and on about that. I probably have at times.
You have at times, but
Yeah.
that's okay. I'm here to either listen to you or ignore you at my
hate
own discretion.
kids.
Just
It's
tune
okay.
out and
Hey, sometimes your boy's playing video games and got his headphones on, and Emily's
still
got
talking
something,
at you.
Emily's got something to say sometimes.
Yeah.
She
This is
doesn't
why I
know-
talk to my dog.
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't always need me to listen, and that's great.
You
It's
talk
the
to your dog.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of talking to my dog. They
You
don't
LARP?
fucking like what?
Talking to Sean is LARPing.
Yeah, she calls me Mia sometimes.
It's like essentially a writer on my Facebook feed just posted this eloquent one sentence thing. It's like, you know that little baby voice you talk to your dogs or pets with?
I don't trust people that
You're
don't have
LARPing.
that.
You're a live action role playing with your pet.
I can see it. I don't trust people that don't have like voices for dogs.
Oh, dog
I totally
voice.
talk to my cats and shit like that though.
Yeah, dude,
Yeah,
everyone's-
totally. Those are your kids. Those are your that's your fam.
I wouldn't go
especially at
that far.
point.
I don't go to that extent where I'm like, oh, they're my fur babies and stuff like that.
You feed
no.
them.
I do.
You
I
clean
feed
up
them.
their shit. That's what you do for a child. That's about all having a child is.
It's the most intelligent being in the world cleaning up my shit. Pathetic.
I mean, not you specifically.
Yeah, Sean's the equivalent of having a dog, except for I don't have to clean up his shit.
Not that often.
No, I just clean up your living room sometimes.
Not that often. All right, so you guys want to talk about what you're listening to this week? We got some pretty big audio files in the studio here doing this little podcast, and we thought it'd be fun to maybe give you guys a little hint. I know the three of us are always looking for good new music, always trying to dive deeper and find more, and maybe you are too. So whether you're into metal or hip hop, because those are probably the only two fucking genres we're gonna cover.
Actually, I got some jazz fusion.
Oh, look at Doug breaking the mold already before we even build it. Yeah, we'll. So something I'm listening to in the hip hop genre this week. A pretty sleeper album, at least for me, is Czarface meets Metalface, which is a collaboration album between MF Doom and Czarface, which is a pretty small supergroup. I think it's only like 3 members, but it's 7L, I want to say, Esoteric of AOTP, and I want to say they have a third member. I can't remember off the top of my head.
I don't know who any of those people are.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the one who shines on the track is MF Doom, as MF Doom
Oh
is
yeah, well,
kind of a
I know what
murderer.
Doom is.
But
The
I kind of
ultimate
got that when you
wordsmith.
mentioned Metalface.
yeah, and so that's a little.
He's the ultimate wordsmith.
But notable quotes on the track are, "I rip bars apart like I mixed martial art with mixed martial arts." That shit made my brain go pop, and maybe it'll make your brain go pop too. So how about you guys? What are you guys listening to?
I checked out something I think was released in 1992. It was actually commissioned by Nintendo. They hired a bunch of really prominent studio session musicians, essentially, to re-record the F-Zero soundtrack.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And it is just some hot shit. Like, I was talking to Stefan earlier. One of the members of the Weather Report is in there, and he would have been more well known, most likely, if he wasn't so overshadowed by Jaco Pastorius, who was a really prolific bass player who ended up going crazy, going out looking for fights, and essentially like getting put through a window and dying. Essentially, he was like bipolar, and it was like speculated that that had a lot to do with like his prolificness with the bass and his creativity with
nuts for 6 months and just play bass every waking
well,
moment.
it didn't really manifest itself until later in his life. Like he was just super.
Well, a lot
creative.
of those psychological disorders don't really crop up to like your early 20s to mid 20s, and so you'll kind of just be like a little eccentric, maybe like a little stroke of genius, and then like get a little older and your brain just like rips itself apart.
This dude was like not just like a little stroke of genius though, he was like a virtuoso. But back to this album, he was not on this, he was just in a band with another session musician essentially.
Okay.
But yeah, Nintendo actually commissioned for this album. I don't know if they must have sold it, but who the fuck knows of the existence of this fucking album? But I was just listening to some of it, and
Well, our listeners do now.
it is some hot shit. I've seen it also referred to as F-Zero arranged, but it is basically just the F-Zero logo from the original Nintendo game in front of a picture of a jet engine, essentially.
Which is all you need.
Or just
though.
like the what's in the back. It's not the jet engine on like the side. It's just like one of the afterburners in the back.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I listened to one or the two of the cuts off of it, and it is just some. It's very reminiscent of the time. I sent it to a friend, and he went back. He messaged me back. He was like, "Why does this kind of sound like parts of the intro to Full House on it?" I was like, "Probably because it was recorded in '92."
They did it in the same studio.
If you listen close enough, you can hear Mary-Kate and Ashley fighting over a Twinkie in the background.
This week, let's see. I've listened to a lot of music, so
So this should be easy.
yeah, I did a bunch of jazz, but I got through Destroyer 666's entire discography, which is an Australian black thrash band that moved to Europe. Their key member is KK Warslut, who is just as childish.
One more time.
KK Warslut, who is just as childish as his name would imply, because I actually found the band through some...
I'm sorry, can I just get one more?
KK Warslut.
That a girl.
The dude's been in the news a couple times.
It's like the black metal GG Allen.
Dude, for real.
But the dude can thrash. There are 2 albums that I'd check out if you're into that kind of thing, which is Cold Steel, and the other one is Phoenix Rising. Outside of those 2, it definitely had some ups and downs, but my main apprehension is KK Warslut is kind of a tool. So,
Is he a vocalist by chance?
he's guitar and vocals.
Okay.
You don't
Okay,
say
and
it.
vocals,
A
okay.
front man who needs a fucking moniker like that. You don't say.
Sorry to throw the vocalists I know who might hear this, but well, not you. I know you just saw your face. Yes, this applies to you too. It's like vocalists have the biggest ego, and they're literally usually the most useless person in the fucking band. I swear to God.
Cheers to that.
Like
Oh, you
everybody
show
will
up and
be
talk?
like straight up when you're in the shit trying to work out through stuff. The vocalist will just be standing there doing fucking nothing. Absolutely fucking nothing while everybody's pouring through the shit. And then once you have some semblance of something for them to actually do something, then they'll do their shit. And that's kind of just the nature of how it works, but they're still cunts.
Well, to KK Warslut's still being a cunt, but to his credit, he is their main composer. So
And he's from Australia, right?
yep,
So it's okay to call him a cunt.
yeah.
Because he is one.
And every other word out of his mouth probably is.
Yeah, probably.
I also checked out 1349, which is a black metal band named after the year that
that-
Black Death came to
Damn,
Norway.
So much for suggesting a album.
Is that like a top-down ballista game, kind of like 1941?
Probably.
But
Did you imagine at 1349 where you just like shooting catapults back and forth?
Trebuchets, man. Come on.
Trebuchet.
Trebuchets? Trebuchets?
That
But,
band's pretty good too.
Trebuchet.
Trebuchet.
We're gonna invade Egypt and douche the Sphinx.
Get her
Douche it all
career.
over.
Giant douche.
Did you check out Wonder Years?